Blended Kingdom Teens is all about the real-life struggles of living with divorced parents.
We give you honest conversation and practical tools for living out your identity and purpose as we chase after God together.
Hey BKT, welcome back to another episode on season 3. It's just Jerzi and Sidney here this time.
Hey guys.
We're doing our first solo podcast,
whoop, whoop.
Just us two. We are so excited, and just something that we're going to focus on today is mainly trusting God's plan for your blended family. We know that can be really hard, whether you're, your parents have recently got divorced or whatever your blended family looks like at all ages. It can be really hard to see the future and think that God has a plan for your blended family. So, let's just jump in. Sidney, so what would you say in your blended family? What did that look like growing up to trust God's plan? And I know that you found God a little later in life, but what did that look like after even, discovering his plan for your life?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, yeah, like you said, I found God when I was 16 years old, and my parents divorced when I was about 12 or 13. So, I say this on every podcast, like my dad, right after they got divorced, he dove into faith. And for me, that was a very good example because, I didn't realize it at the time, but I needed somebody like that. I needed somebody who was just going and running after the Lord, because come to find out, I would be doing the same thing just a little bit later in my life. And so learning just to trust God within my blended family, my family became officially blended when I was 17 years old. My dad got married, and, through that whole process, I was like, okay, well, yeah, my dad's dating somebody, he's getting engaged, all this stuff. I was kind of just thinking of it as okay, it's happening kind of thing. But I didn't realize I absolutely love her now. And so kind of just trusting that God would put that person there that I didn't realize it, that I would actually need and depend on a lot because, she is such a God-fearing woman, and I absolutely love that for her. And I really do in some sense look up to her for that, because she was married prior to my dad, and she had kids. They're in their 20s, and so she went from being a complete empty nester to starting over with a senior in high school. And so for her, to do that and to be very honest and just go at our relationship in a godly way was just so awesome and amazing on her part. And I trusted God. I trusted that God was going to put somebody in my dad's life that was going to be there for life, and I was yeah, my parents got divorced, that wasn't his person, but I truly do believe that his wife is, and they strive to basically follow God and be in God's presence together. And so I really did have to trust God to put that person there. And even if you guys maybe your parents are dating or something, maybe you're okay, this definitely isn't the one, or oh, I really like this person. At the end of the day, you have to trust God that God's putting these people in your parents' lives for a reason, and that they're either gonna marry them, or it's gonna be a really good lesson and you're just gonna grow from it.
Yeah.
So what about you, Jerzi? what did trusting God when it came to, because you're very blended, what did it look like on both sides of your family, kind of just inviting the new parent into your family?
Yeah, when my dad got married, I was only in 5th grade, and I think and y'all might feel this too, when you're younger and your parents have gotten divorced, ages between, really anything below 18, you don't really have a say. You didn't really have a say when they got divorced. You didn't really have a say on who they get to date, who they get to marry, who your future step siblings will be, whatever that looks like. It's hard because you don't feel like you have any control over this thing, family, this thing that's supposed to be so grounded, so consistent for us. So I think that when my dad first got married, I was only in 5th grade, and I didn't feel like I had any say in any word really to decide on whose future wife was going to be, because I'm I'm like 11. Like,
yeah.
what? And so I think that trusting God in that sense was really just being able to trust my dad and have full faith in him that, like, that he loves me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my earthly father, like, he loves me and he knows me. He wants also what's best for me as well, for our family.
For sure.
So I think a big part for me was just, like, understanding that, like, my dad also wants to, like, supply me a very good stepmother,
Right.
and which I do have. Like, I love her, and the way that she's led me spiritually has been amazing. So I just think trusting in that way. Now, whenever my mom got married, I was older. I was, I'm pretty sure, I think I was in 8th grade when my mom got married. And I felt, since I was older, I felt like I actually had, like, some kind of say. And, like, my stepdad, he didn't ask for my approval whenever they were engaged and got married, and I had some kind of, just, like, I was upset about that. Like, I had a say, like, I had a word since I was older. And I think in that moment, like, trusting my mom as well as God to just say that, like I don't have any control over my future.
For
like,
sure.
I didn't plan for my parents to get divorced.
Yeah.
I didn't plan for them to get remarried or for me to have as many step siblings and half siblings as I do. Like, that was all God's plan. And I think by the end of it, like, you can see his glory. Like, both of me and you are sitting here now doing a podcast to encourage teenagers through their divorce. And so then I wasn't able to see past, you know, I had a short, like, I had a very,
like a veil over your eyes in some sense.
Like, I could only see what was in front of me. And so I would respond in that way. So yeah, I do encourage you that wherever you are right now, whether it be a teenager or an older child of a blended family, you know, try and push past that. Try and see and understand that the Lord sees so far in front of you that he will not give you something that you will not be able to handle, or that will eventually glorify and bring glory to his kingdom. And I know that we have some scripture to just relate to this trusting in God's plan for your life, Sydney. So if you want to read some of that.
Okay, so we're going to be in Jeremiah 29. Most people know Jeremiah 29:11, but I'm actually going to extend it a little bit and go all the way to 13 because, you know, just to kind of put it a little bit more in context. So I have the New King James Version. I have, like, an older Bible. So it says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope." And then this is where it continues, because many people just know that one portion of it. Then you will call upon me and go and pray to me, and I will listen to you. And you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. Like, many people will read Jeremiah 29:11 itself, and they'll be like, okay, like, I know what that means. But when you really extend it out and just think about it in the broader picture, like, you might be going through something with your blended family, and it might be hard. And, like, at the end of the day, you have to go to God for those things. Yes, you can talk to your parents, but sometimes, like, it's an internal battle. And so, you know, it says, then you will call upon me and go and pray to me. It's so important. Like, no matter what you're going through, like, every blended family is so different in so many ways. Like, even me and Jerzi's, they're very different. And so, you know, you go to God for the hard things and you pray about it, because he will give you the discernment later to go and to approach your families with these problems that you might be having. And so, you know, when you go and pray to him, if you continue reading, and when you will seek me and find me when you search with all your heart, like, go to God in a vulnerable state with whatever you're going through, because it's going to be so fulfilling when you do. And it goes with, like, the trusting factor of it too, is, like, you have to trust God, like I said earlier, to put those people in your parents' lives that are going to not only benefit them, but they're going to benefit you as well.
That's so good. Yeah.
And, you know, you have to just, like, it's very hard nowadays, I would say, to trust God, because many people are like, well, yeah, I pray and I pray and I pray, and I don't get anything out of it. Like, I don't see a change. And you might be in that waiting season of that. And, you know, God is, like, preparing somebody. And there's a little saying that I heard one time. It's like, you know, you pray to God and you ask, and it seems like he's not answering, and he seems like he's distant. He's not. what he's doing is he's working the people's lives around you so that eventually when that plan has been fulfilled, it's going to impact you in God's way. It's going to be in a good way. And so like if you continue to pray for your parents or pray for a sibling even, or like a future step sibling, be like, hey, like God, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know who these people are or what they might be doing right now. But God, I just pray that, they're going to impact me and that they're just God-fearing people. Because, or even maybe if they don't, like they're in a waiting season themselves, and like when they see you and they get to know you and you kind of just like become a family in a sense, that you get to be the light in their dark place and them for you as well. And so, just going off of that scripture, I'm just going to hand it over to Jerzi for hers, because I know that you have one as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think that in Psalm in general, I think that there are so many Psalms that talk about just like yearning for the Lord, asking for his deliverance, seeking his guidance. And we live in a broken world.
Absolutely.
I mean, so many families are broken. And I'm not saying because your family is blended that it's broken, but I'm saying it's so beautiful that we live in a time where we can all, like a lot of teenagers, people our age, can look at each other and be like, yes, that's my past too. Like my parents got divorced too. Like, yes, I went back and forth between houses as well. And I think it's so cool because the Lord wants us to connect in that way and find him in that too. And so, I mean, I just wanted to read out of Psalm 32, specifically verse 8. And it says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. I think just to think that as we go through, as me and you have grown up in divorced families, that God was looking at us and was instructing us and teaching us in different ways, and that he was counseling us with his own eyes, that he was watching us go through what we were going through and purposely molding and putting people into our lives to deliver us and to bring us from different things. And so I just think that's so beautiful, and it's something that I consistently have to remind myself that, like, ultimately he is the creator.
That's good.
Like, he is the person that is over my situation, and there's nothing I can physically do to change that. And I think not that the Lord needs to be glorified or that we need to like do anything to make him a higher being, but in such a prominent thing that's going on in this world right now, families getting divorced, like understanding that he is in that, it is so beautiful to me. And I mean, also I think that at least for me growing up, I really there was so many different factors that went into my family's like divorce, and then me getting step siblings and my parents getting remarried. Like there's at least like 20 people involved in this, not even to include like my aunts and my uncles and my grandparents and my new grandparents and my step grandparents. Like all of that has been so crazy. And like in every single situation, like my step grandparents, my step grandparents Herb and Lori, like I think it's so crazy that within my parents' divorce that they've been reached.
Oh, for sure.
That like God was like, okay, in this, like, I want to, how can I help them? How can I search them? And that, like, consistently God is like, I'm watching over you. I'm leading you. So trust in me. So I just think that's so beautiful when it comes to, trusting God with your plan of your blended family.
Yeah, absolutely. Like one more thing before we wrap up here, like, like I said earlier, and it goes right along with what you said, it's like, it's trusting God, but it's not only just that, it's trusting it in that waiting season, because we go through a lot as blended kids, and we sometimes don't even know what we think about it. Like, we don't know how we feel about our parents possibly dating or being remarried. Like, maybe you have step siblings, maybe you have a lot of step siblings, coming into your family, and you're just like, how do I navigate it all? And it's definitely something to talk about, and definitely have like an open conversation with your parent, who's like adding this new addition to your family. Like, have a conversation with them and sit down and be like, hey, this is what I think of it, because it doesn't hurt to just simply let them know. And, with that, like, go to God about it too. Yep. It's like, God, give me the discernment and give me the wisdom to know when to say it, how to say it, because, he's going to put it on your heart to say it at a time where your parents needing to hear it. And that's like that's like the best part about God is he's the knower of all, and he has a plan for your life. And maybe it's not the one that you imagined. Like, I did never imagine that my parents would get divorced. I'm sure you definitely didn't. I know your story. And so, he has a plan for your life. And although it's not what you wanted or what you might think is best, we can't question God's plan because, I mean, he's God and he knows it all. Yeah. And so just for sure, like, trusting him in that entire process, no matter what phase of a blended family you're at. Maybe your parents just got divorced, or maybe they've been, remarried for years. Just continue to trust them.
Yeah. I mean, that's so good. I think just speaking Jeremiah 29:11 over your situation whenever you don't know when to trust him, I think is a really big thing. And hey, like, just wrapping this up, like, we just are praying for y'all. We just want y'all to know that as ambassadors of BKT, I mean, we are just praying for your situation, and we want to talk to y'all. So please just leave reviews, leave comments, go to our social media. We'd love to contact with you. Like,
absolutely.
We'd love to keep in contact with y'all. I mean, DM us anytime. We'd love to have conversation. If you have any prayer requests, I mean, leave it there, and that will not go unprayed for.
For sure.
Do not forget to just be courageous and strong out there, and we love y'all, and we will see y'all in the next episode.